Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be playing a no unit Arachis Swarm point slam control deck, and this was a ton of fun to play. In the trial games we went undefeated and I climbed about 50 MMR in consecutive games, which felt great, and I believe that I'm going to be able to take this deck to 2500 this season with little difficulty, just based on what we've seen from routine matchups so far. Now, having said that, we haven't played against Syndicate yet, but I do think that we have a little bit of a challenging matchup for them, given that we have really good control options, uninteractivity, and just really good tempo. So I'm not really anticipating that matchup to be all too bad. The really tough ones that we managed to get through were the Skellige ones mainly, and that's what gave me a lot of confidence. Nilfgaard as well. So we'll go through the deck here. We have Mamuna, and what Mamuna is going to do is help with consistency as well as just tons of points. We can banish a bronze unit from our graveyard and boost health by its power, then summon a copy of it from our deck. So we always want to use the summon feature. We don't really want to go into Sabbath here because we're not playing relics, and we want to go into the Griffin more often than not. We do have a backup set being the Qcento workers, but you're going to see me fetching for the Griffins whenever possible. And I say we don't use Sabbath because we don't want to lose a point, or even more so when we need the Griffin to go and consume something or destroy something in order to be able to play it. So keep that in mind there, right? Summoning is obviously better than playing in this case. Now, Old Spear Tip got the indirect buff because of Old Spear Tip Asleep getting the rework. So after 3 turns, summon Old Spear Tip from your deck to this row and increase its base power by 6, then banish self. If Old Spear Tip Asleep takes damage, summon Old Spear Tip from your deck and banish self instead. So if this lives, this comes out for 18 points and we get rid of this. If this doesn't live, this just comes out anyways. So it's a really good deck thinning and consistency, but we do have crazy points, being 18 points in one card with Old Spirit Tip. It's really difficult for them to keep up with that. It demands a heat wave right away, and it just plays for tons and tons of value. So this is a solid tempo play. It can even win us a round. Don't be afraid to use it early game as well, because it's not the only play that we have, right? We have a Mamuna round, we have a Spear Tip round, we have an uninteractive round. We've got it all here. So that's awesome to have, because monsters do struggle with some of the consistency issues, right? So these things are really helping fix that. Qcento Heatwave needs to be had in a lot of competitive decks this season. We can banish a unit or artifact. This is going to get rid of a scenario or a trap or a 30-point unit, you name it. So we get rid of it, it's gone. We don't have to think about it again, and that could be a win condition on its own. Now, because we're non-devotion, I opted to go for Royal Decree here. The alternative would be Naglfar, but I'm finding that there's often specific units that I'd like to have instead of specific specials. Now, we do like Heatwave, don't get me wrong, but we really have a lot of points packed into Mamuna, Spear Tip, things like that, right? GLUSTY Warp, Imlerith, so we want to make sure that we have Spirit Tip Asleep, right? All these different cards when we need them, and I can't be gambling because we might have to take this in round 1. So Royal Decree makes the cut here. Frightener is incredible synergy with GLUSTY Warp, and I don't think I have a game today where we didn't pull this off, right? The GLUSTY Warp's not the only way to trigger Frightener. It's if they destroy something of ours, if we consume something of our own, if we destroy something with Griffin. So there's a plenty ways to actually go and get that done, right? So this works really well when we play GLUSTY Warp, slamming down, destroying all the 1-power units, and boosting health by 2 for each. It is going to flip this right away. It's going to be like a 40-point play. It's really hard for them to keep up with. In Nilfgaard especially, this matchup's actually pretty funny because there's a lot of spies on our side of the board that are going to help make GLUSTY bigger. It's important for us to have last say, of course, so they don't just take a yen on it, but again, it definitely helps us get rid of a lot of those pesky spies that we don't feel like dealing with. Imlerith is another tool for consistency. We can draw a card and discard a card. If the card discarded was a unit, boost self by its power. So what I like to do with this card is go for the first Griffin. But honestly, the Qcento workers sometimes a better target because you don't really want to play these from hand. They're not very good to play from hand. They have 3 armor, and if the armor's stripped, they die. And I want it to be a bit greedier than going for something like an Elder Bear or a Noon Wraith. So I'm greeting the extra point here. There's also a little bit more synergy with the deck because we have other insectoids, right? So we have the ability to gain some armor maybe when we play other things. So that's kind of why they're there. It's just the extra point overall, and the fact that we can go and we can take an Imlerith on that so we can protect the points a bit better. Now, Imlerith's Wrath is not an organic card, but it does play into the no unit or low unit strategy very well, and it plays very well into a deck with Imlerith because if we control Imlerith, we can destroy an enemy instead. So even if we don't have anything super tall to base our Wrath off of, we can go and take out a 40-50 power unit if we want to because the condition on this card. So it really kind of helps keep this for removal of a unit and keep this for removal of a scenario or a defender or something that, you know, we can't do with this or whatever the case. It just gives us versatility with how we take our removal, right? And moving on, here we have Toad Prince. I think it's a great card. There's a lot of decks that have engines that start at 4 power, and this is going to be able to come in and take one of them, right? Imagine being on red coin, they play a 4-point engine, they're really hoping that they can use the order next turn or whatever the case, and we just go and consume that. Well, automatically we're like flipping the coin, we're giving them a hard time, and then we can just follow this up with a bunch of bronze plays and we're doing really well. So Toad Prince is the MVP, and it has synergy with some of the cards in the deck because it has the beast category. So spontaneous evolution, we can go ahead and we can boost a beast by 8. So if we're desperate, we want to maximize point potential, we can go and we can even just tuck that on the Toad Prince, which is not that bad. It consumes at 4, so it's 7 power plus the 8's 15. There's going to be bigger things to remove, so we have to be comfortable playing tall in this game. Now, seeing other versions of decks like this with Xavier and stuff like that, I opted to go with Osriel here because of the versatility. So if we get our thinning done and all types of things, we have the Spear Tip at 18 points in the grave. That's great. We could take it defensively. We can get a huge 19-point Osriel, sure. But if they have like a Melusine or something in their grave that we need to get rid of, a real hand, whatever the case, something that will ultimately change the outcome of the game, I can go and I can fetch for that. So it's a little bit more versatile than just taking like a Xavier, and I think it has a much higher point ceiling in this case because we have the one target, we have the backup being the Frightener. There's tons of things that we can do with the Osriel, of course, right? So that's why it's here. You'll see good offensive and defensive takes in today's games with this here. And Parasite's just a really good removal for something maybe that's like 5 power plus an armor or 4 plus 2 armor. It really helps. This takes out the dunk as a Scoia'tael and all types of stuff that can get out of hand if left untreated. So Parasite just works quite well. Works even better in this deck here because the extra point we get from playing an organic card off of our leader. So that's that. Now, we talked about Spear Tip just helping with the deck thin and all that type of stuff. These two cards are interesting. I think Adrenaline Rush is just a good value. We're getting 9 for 8 because we're able to boost something on the row if it's the only unit on the row. And then we get the extra drone from playing the organic. Pred Dive is just a really good coin abuse card, a good Scoia'tael and all sorts of things like that. If they play something and boost it with a tactical advantage, we can go and take a dive. I'm pretty uncomfortable rocking 2 Pred Dives. I find when we have 2, it sometimes gets kind of awkward. So I like to single dive and just choose when I use it to a time that's best suitable for me, right? So, you know, 1 seems to be the sweet spot for me. I played Adrenaline Rush because I used to in way old versions before Spontaneous Evolution was a card, and I liked it. There's also not a lot in the 5 provision range. Like, I thought about taking a Lock or taking an Alzur's Thunder, but there wasn't the synergies I was looking for, and I wanted to keep the units low. So this is why I opted to go for the Adrenaline Rush, and so far it hasn't been a problem. It's actually just been a really cheap tempo swing, 9 for 5, easy, simple, right? We talked about these. More thinning with the Riders, Dominance, summon all copies from, you know, our deck to the row. So Dominance is going to be so simple to get. We can pretty much play anything in this deck and get Dominance. So thinning is really easy to come by. And Spores isn't organic. We get the extra point from it, but also we're playing so many greedy decks right now. Let's say we miss a Heat Wave or we miss an Imler's Wrath and we need 2 Tall Punishes in a round. Well, we have a third one for 4 provisions that's really cost effective. So having this in here shouldn't drastically change the dynamic of the deck. If anything, it's just a nice addition to have here. We can also use it defensively if we have something like maybe a Griffin that's been damaged and it's almost, you know, dead. We can just go and heal that or something. So it works both ways. Now, good 4-point removal with natural selection, of course, extra point with the drones, so these are playing for 4 points of removal plus 1 point on our side. Really nice if the opponent's trying to bleed and they play an engine, we kill the engine, but we also have a point. So it helps us defend card pretty well in these situations as well. And it's like a must-have, I would say, in this type of deck. And we talked about the Qcento workers being the last set for the Mamuna and whatnot, but that's pretty much the deck. Normally, lately, I've been doing here's version 1, and maybe later on I'll update it, but this so far feels so clean. It runs so well that I'm convinced that this is the version. So if you're looking to climb with monsters and you're tired of playing, whether it be Relics or Kelly or whatever the case, try this deck out, because I think you're missing something if you don't. It's been tons of fun so far, and I hope you like it as much as I do. So we'll get into the games, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. If you enjoy the content that you see on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, because I upload every single day at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and I don't want you to miss videos that might help you out. Alright, so we got Guerilla Tactics. We're going first. We have Tempo. I'm not too worried about this, especially considering we've got really non-interactive plays. If they're playing into the whole super control heavy thing, we should be just fine. What do I want to get rid of here? Probably Spores. And then fix the pair. This could be a Saskia Snipe. And it's pretty comfortable. I don't think I love the worker though. That's awesome. I wanted to play around the Serpent Trap by clicking that and having something tall out there for dominance for the riders, but now we can't play these, and we can't play Spirit Tip either.
Look what the werecat dragged in.
If I can get one hit on both rows though, I should be able to put out like the A rush or something like that and just look at getting out of this round. Okay. So it's a little bit of a tough spot. We might take our Pred Dive and just kind of pass on that and just recomp the hand. With so many different thinning options, there's a lot of stuff that could potentially go wrong, but I think that overall it should play pretty well. It's just the Mamuna, the Imlerith, and the thinning pair, and then the Spear Tip combo. Okay. So we get that point right back. We can actually probably put an A rush here because we eliminated the unit, so Red Dive's not bad. And we get the pass here. That was a pretty inexpensive round. So we'll take care of the obvious bricks first. This being one of them, and this being the next one. Mamuna here is really good because we can just go right out with the Griffins, right? I wonder if we ever just go for it. In a way, it's helping us with that Finn. It's probably their Saskia play, yeah? I think we have space to take a bit more here. I don't know how I feel about playing into that though. We've got a solid removal for the 10. I don't think there's any harm in just taking a big boost here.
Humans are scum. I prefer elves, dwarves, pixies even.
Now, short term, it's probably better to get rid of this. Long term, it's probably better to get rid of this. We have spores as well. So we could spores one of these. I think I'm going to take this because I don't think it gets much better if they're running the trap variant. I just want to see maybe if we get one of those traps out or two of those traps out here.
Yeah, I work for the police. Better than work for humans.
Okay, that'll do it for me. Had I known they had Madoc in hand and potentially Milva in hand as well, might have played that a little bit differently, but there's not much we can do when they have those 4 engines going on at once. I think it was a good pass. Okay, so the problem is we're giving them a really easy time with these. So I'm definitely putting away one of them. I just don't know if I actually want to put away Spear Tip because they might put a lot of efforts into removing this, which ultimately would do nothing for them. But I don't think that's ever the play you're supposed to make here. We'll go take that. And we missed 1, 2, and 3. Go figure. We had pretty good Finns though. Okay, this is not what I thought it was.
War will be our downfall. This I have seen.
This looks like the orbs. For whatever reason, I always assume traps.
Only one with no scent would
But we
trust the
do
world.
have the spores. Spores could be actually really good. If it's gourd, right? Just couldn't resist. start with this one here now. So at least there's no Alzer in play. That's kind of important. Start working on the GLUSTY here. I might actually have to take spores on something like the Vanguard, just because I kind of want to save GLUSTY last say. Okay, they're not running Milva here by the looks of it. We probably just take this. So I'm thinking we should win. It really comes down to what they got going on here. So they boost the Maddock and click it. If last card's Heatwave... This is an 8-point reset. I think we just take that reset first. Yeah, that should be fine. Alright, we got Skellige, and it's gonna be pirates, more than likely, right? It should be kind of interesting. I don't know how it's gonna work. What I do know is that Nilfgaard would really be bad for us, so we gotta maybe try and bait that out a little bit early. So far, no bricks, right? I might take the Finn before we take the Imlerith in this game, because we did pull into the other rider last game, but so far so good. I think I want to take GLUSTY back here, and I think we need to get rid of Kika or Worker. This matchup's looking kind of bad if we want to go and play that, so here. A little bit of a Finn, we start doing our thing here. We never have to play Griffin from hand if we have Imlerith, which is really good because now we don't have to waste a leader charge. But I think that we should be able to get a pretty fast pass on round 1 just because of the sheer tempo that we've got. And that feels Heatwave to me, doesn't it? So we click on 7. See if we can maybe get a tempo pass here. I can't say I love having Spontaneous in this matchup. So they're going to try and keep me in the round. It's a little shy though. Did we get enough? Did we get enough? Morkvarg's here. I think that they're probably going to want to Morkvarg onto the... like with the Fuchsia and then do it again. So that's the only complaint I've got. I think we actually go and cram something like this. See if we can get the counter. See if we can get the 18 for the Osroll. Bloodthirst 3 is kind of scary though. that's tough. So we have Wild Hunt tags and we have Lamp Gin. This is going to get really bad trade. The damage is actually pretty bad here too. We need to play for one more counter though. I think we still do. Holy. Okay. We pass here because otherwise we get trapped. And I don't think that's all too bad. Holger, Morkvarg, got the other boat out, right? We had Crack on Crate being played here. This just goes. They go first, right? This just goes. We don't want Griffin. So Death Wish summon the highest bronze pirate. They don't have one. We maybe just take that. That's like a really good dive.
I need a man like a wheel needs a wheelbarrow.
We need to stay a couple points ahead, so we have to play something like that here. Hopefully they just decide, alright, there's not enough to make it work.
We till not the soil, we sow not the seeds.
I'm really tempted to go and take a Griffin here, but I'd like to play Frightener. Maybe we just play 1 leader charge. That should actually be fine too. And then we can maybe go take Frightener, because it's a little bit of a slower play.
Need all the pitch we can brew for this one. They'll fix it. Just don't
Is there anything... We can take that Morkvarg, actually. We use like an offensive Osril. Yeah? Because that's one of the biggest fears. And then we'll just go and play GLUSTY Warp next. And it should just be enough, right? 3 in the 1, and then we save Griffin. Yeah. Short round 3, we've got tons of points. Because I want the Mamuna play to work. And they know. So we need to pull 1. Actually, this is kind of a liability as well. If they're running Turgvi, then that's a problem. But Mamuna's good. Toad Prince could be good. Here, let's get the cards first, and then we can start planning like that. We want to put these back. 1. We don't have any bronze pairs, do we? It has to be the Griffin, even though I really don't like the Worker. Like, it's just bad. One leader charge plays for 7 points here. You see? Fortunately, they're not double boating, but we have to be mindful of that, because if they do, we're in trouble. So we'll take this while we can.
Nilfgaard's got more crooks than it has rats.
I don't know what they're doing with the Sucrus, but to me that screams problem. We can't remove it though. And that's 11. We have 10. We can Glusty it though.
Kill the sons, steal the lasses!
I think it's more points to take this and Glusty last. I'm worried about Turgvi, but other than that, I'm not too worried. And I don't think they're running Turgvi because they have the Sucrus and it's kind of expensive in that range, right? So let's take their points as well. 41 to 19, bring it. I'm actually thoroughly impressed with this deck so far. And moving on to the next one here, we got Ursine Ritual. So again, I've been seeing some serious Fearless lists trending recently. So I'm thinking that this could potentially be that, but at the same time, there are the few Lippy players lingering. So we got to be ready for both. I don't think I'm going to get much value in Spores in this match. And having Mamuna's nice, but not required for round 1. I suppose we could, but it's probably not ideal. Maybe we tuck back something like that. We need more playable cards. But for now, I think we just take... Now, if it's Lippy, we do have a pass, I'm sure. We have good tempo, so it shouldn't be a problem. Not enough information here. I wonder if I ever just Toad Prince, though. Because that could actually be one of those things that puts us in trouble. I've seen those just rake out the points, like... Okay. Take. Now it's time to start thinking about getting out here. I don't mind taking Imlerith first because it actually helps us out. Hit the 1. Okay. Take Imlerith. Nice. 31 points. They might have that tempo if they go full crazy on Blue Boy, or they come out swinging with the discard package, but Melusine here, it's a little progressive. I don't know if there's ever really a need to push more, but then again, this is free points. It's 9 points. It kind of really helps us out here. I just don't want to give too much value to Melusine because we ultimately want to Heat Wave that or whatever, but we don't have access to it yet. I guess I could use Osril and take Melusine from their grave offensively. So there's that. There's actually that. Yeah, 8 points. We want it to see... It needs to see 10 plus. That's too bad. Maybe it's not going to be as big of a threat as I thought. So is the strategy here to play long round 3 or to play short round 3? I don't know. You can see. What are we trying to bleed is the big question, right? We did see a couple gold cards. How were our commitments here? Not all that bad. I'd like to have Mamuna. I think Mamuna's great for bleeding. We want points, don't we? Maybe this is actually good. Here. Something like that looks actually pretty promising. I think we have what it takes to bleed now. Yeah, what if we just... There's no right or wrong answer, I guess. We'll find out. We just play leader dive. Oh god.
For the clan! For Skellige!
Is it a parasite? Or is it a dive? I think it's a parasite. Reason why is because now we don't have to waste leader, right? Just kind of play like that. Would have been really nice to try and work the spear tip here, but... Here, we'll go and take... We know that starts to add up pretty quick. I don't want to get round trapped, but I think that we should be doing alright. If Akusha comes out, is that going to be for the... Okay. They still don't use it? Maybe that's the pass we're looking for? Because it feels expensive to me to go take Wrath. So if we take Wrath here, -2, they can get the points back. Seeing Fakusha's 14 provisions, right? This is a pretty solid hand for round 3. And we have pretty good chance of top decking into something nice. I think that's it.
Mayhap you'll gawk at Arcania's marvels too one day.
So the blue boy problem's gone, our tokens are safe, Fakusha's out of the way. It's not a whole lot we have to worry about at this point. I think we have to dump 7, it's too vulnerable. And we need one of 2. It's bad if we don't pull them. What do we sacrifice though is the big question. Probably spontaneous, but spontaneous is good. Maybe adrenaline? Okay, thankfully. So they might bring back Melusine, which plays for tons of points. So it's probably Osriel first. It would have been nice to obviously get out Spear Tip and do all that, but doesn't really work out here. A lot of times they have Sigdrifa's right, so... Okay. We gotta get rid of that. We got 2 tall punishes as well, which is actually really nice. There's going to be something 8, 10, 12 points, I'm sure. Put down something like that, right? course. I mean, we feed the GLUSTY. Here. It's now or never. Heatwave would be horrible.
I can do a great deal more for you.
Hit the ones, hit the ones.
Let's not get in the way of the axe.
I think they're searching for it. So we have quite a bit of points we gotta make up here. At least we make the Burna just a little bit worse if they use it.
So be it.
Nice. I wonder what our best... I kind of want a bigger ceiling on the Wrath. Because I think Heatwave here is kind of cheating. Well, not cheating, but just selling ourselves short. Pow. Okay, so far so good. They're really giving me nothing. Nothing at all. If it's point slam, we win. If it's like a heat wave, we lose. The fact that they use, I think it was the spores, right? Okay, Sigdriff is right. We got this. Let's go. Just burn that one more time. Just show them we got it. So far, so good. Alright, and for the next game, we got Nilfgaard Double Cross. So we do go first here. I don't think we're going to need Osroll early. It's a lot of bronze cards. Obviously, we gotta mulligan back the Rider, right? Being the third. That works out kind of well. It'd be nice to take a dive on them, but we don't really have the means to unless we do play the spontaneous. We'll start with the Riders, get some information, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, Rider's really not good for us here. I'm considering taking a natural here, but there might be something that I actually want to use a natural on. Maybe we ought to just dump this down and kind of look at our options here. That's an easy joust, easy coup.
I know the truth.
Okay, it's not all bad.
I simply want you to admit it.
I don't want to get out. Here, we'll hit this, get the drone. The drone's kind of what I need to get the Griffin. And then we can look at getting out of the round.
My loyalty is to Imperial coin, not to the face.
I have nothing more than a creaky door.
So we're probably gonna get trapped. I can try and take... Yeah, I can try and take Spear Tip. For now, we'll focus on just getting rid of this problem, but that's probably the play, is going down with Spear Tip next turn. Actually, it's kind of late, too. Two assimilate targets.
We're not done if you can still walk.
So, I'm sort of accepting the fact that we're probably just going to pass with 5. We had so many bronze cards in hand that something like Brathan's just really helps them. I think our short round game is going to be better though. Short round 3. Actually, you know what? It keeps us up. It makes them think about pushing.
Onward, sons of Nilfgaard!
We boost by 8 or we get 7. We get the extra one here. That's probably the play. I just really don't want to see Yen for the Spear Tip. That's kind of what my concern's about. So I think that we just pass here at 3. Yeah. That from hand. This tells me what they're going to do, right? If they take Yen on that, if we can defend it, then we can use Osriel on it in around 3. I just hope that they don't hold on to it, because that could be a problem. I'm just banking on them taking it here. They don't have it.
Think you won? Think again.
Gets them ahead by 1. So we got the leader out of the way, which is great. I don't know if the Spear Tip that they get is good. I think it's going to be 12, right? It shouldn't be 18. They didn't have the same interaction with it. So Spores can go. Imlerith isn't great, but we have a chance of making it pretty great. I think I'm going to go and take... That's perfect. Now, there's a lot of good cards that I want to cycle out here, so I think it's actually within our best interest to take this. Let me just use basically that, right? Okay, so Osriel's important, Heatwave's important, and Toe Prince is very important. If I can pull into those 3 things, I think we have enough to win the game, basically. They might take Yen on our GLUSTY, which is unfortunate, but... Okay. So... let's say we tuck back Spores. I'm not feeling as great about it. Let's say we tuck back Pred Dive as well. Okay, Heat Wave. So we can go into Osro, which is just going to be the most points. We do miss Toad Prince, but it is fine. Maybe we just start with something like that. Not really give them a whole lot to play into. If we can make it kind of awkward at the beginning, then we should be having a pretty good time here, because they want to put spying, they want to do all that type of stuff, right?
Two bad sides. Tis better to be on the winning one.
If they roll Osro, we're actually pretty screwed. Okay.
Who taught you to fight like this?
That's not too bad. I don't want to give them a free Mamuna. So I'm actually considering taking the Toad Prince here. But okay, Osral's too expensive. Do we care for the spying? They have spying on Spear Tip, so they're not really going to take anything better than that. So I think I just play Mamuna then.
An interesting choice.
Okay, it's a good thing we took it. That's kind of sad though. Osral's still going to be the play for sure. I don't want to go too tall on the GLUSTY either, because otherwise we might lose points, right? Because I'm expecting them to use Yen. But for now, we could take boost on the Beast, which is really nice about having Toad Prince in the deck. Toad Prince, Griffin, they both have the Beast tag. I was thinking about putting Striga. That's also a Beast, right? Take a low roll here. That's fine. What? Okay. If I'm confident that either of them's getting taken, maybe we take an early... Yeah, maybe we take an early Osral, right? Just in case. They might even be like running Vilgeforts or something crazy too, so... Like the other Vilgeforts. I'd rather just be safe, because either way, they're getting rid of about 20 points. This way we can actually put a lot of our effort into keeping GLUSTY going. But with GLUSTY, multiple tall punish, engine removal, got lots of pretty good stuff here. That's a really good Wrath. Well, first we'll take care of Terra Nova. This is great. There's nothing to lock. Unless... What if they're running like a random... That's kind of scary, actually. Here, we'll remove this because we can. I'm thinking Vanamar, right? If they're locking it, or they're just trying to psych me out. Which could be the case too. This is worth the most points right now. We take a Heat Wave on it, I'm sure. I don't really fear Surprise Graham either. I don't think it wouldn't make sense to have Colgrim in this deck. I just... Maybe the stratagems for the Cantarella. Ah, interesting. So if last card's Yen, Wait, did they play the second coup? They did. So last card could be yen. Okay. I think we just, minus 11. Yeah, I think we just play this like this. No need to go crazy with it. It could have been worth more, sure. But I'd rather play safe. Yeah, exactly.